G'day everyone, it's Dougphil here. Welcome to some Heart of the Swarm action. Today we're going to have a look at a Terran versus Zerg on Cloud Kingdom. It's going to be one of the final Heart of the Swarm replays that I get to cast. Unfortunately, with the beta coming down very soon, we're all going to have to wait a little while until the actual game is fully released. And I tell you what, I'm really hoping that the replays from beta will still be available to view in full release, because I've got some wonderful replays that I would really like to cast, but unfortunately don't really have the time right now. But we're going to do what we can here today. We're going to see, as we said, a Terran versus Zerg down at the bottom left-hand side of Cloud Kingdom. He's been a player who really dominated through the end of 2011 and then through the very early portion of 2012. You may see him here as MVidya, but this is actually MMA, the one and only MMA, of course, playing for Team Acer, now joining the likes of Nurchio and Scarlet, of course, over in Korea at the moment, joining up with the Axiom team, of course, forming the A-squared team, as I like to call them. And his opponent up at the top right-hand side as our Blue Zerg player is going to be Australia's own Pig, currently playing for Exile Gaming, just recently joining up with the Exile Gaming team. And, well, you know, he's been really dominating the C scene. Of course, a wonderful Zerg player who has been doing a really good job over here in Australia and, of course, in many of the local C tournaments. He has, of course, gone across to some other events overseas and has been doing really well. Not to mention spending a bit of time over in Korea in the Prime Gaming House and, you know, really learnt a lot. Of course, he did get to play quite a lot with the Prime team. Of course, you know, MKP and some of the other wonderful players that they have. So, you know, he has really grown as a player, and it's really good to see him doing quite well in Heart of the Swarm. So it'll be really interesting to see how these players go. I must admit, I haven't actually seen anything of MMA in the Heart of the Swarm beta as of yet. Of course, I think he did actually play maybe once or twice in the GSTL pre-season Heart of the Swarm matches, but I think I missed it because I didn't actually get the time to watch all of those games. So we'll see how he goes here today. It looks like he is going to open up with some Reaper harassment. This particular style has been a little bit popular from quite a lot of the Korean Terrans. They've been sending out an early Reaper to try and get some, you know, not only get some scouting on their Zerg opponents, but you can also do really well in taking out one, maybe two, possibly three if you're very, very lucky of those drones. But it looks like Pig is going to see that that's coming, of course, with the Overlord spotting the high ground and the low ground there. And it looks like MMA is going to continue up to around about 2 Reapers. I doubt it'll go further than 2. Generally, when these Terran players have been picking up a couple of Reapers, they've actually just gone to around about 2, maybe 3, and then that's about it. Because if you invest a little bit too much more than that, then you're only going to have, you know, very little to actually defend the main base. And what this actually does as well is it causes the Zerg players to react with a much quicker Zergling speed than they would normally have. As we can see, Pig has already got, well, he's just about got enough gas out. There it is, yeah. Gets enough gas to pick up the Zergling speed as well, so he's going to get started with that. The Reaper getting a little bit of damage done. Also keep in mind, the Reaper is actually faster than Lings without speed when they're on creep. It's a really interesting factor to consider when looking at these little guys go about it, and it looks as if the second one has finally arrived, and MMA behind all of this is getting his expansion up. Of course, we can see just down here the command center is being built at the natural. He's also getting a reactor and a factory as well, so he is going to transition into the reactor Hellion play, most likely. A third command center also being built, so he's putting on a lot of pressure here. Of course, the Reapers, as long as they don't die, they can fall back, and then of course, as you can see here, they are regenning up all of their health there. It's not necessarily too quick, but if you give them a bit of time, they'll come back with extra health. So it's good to see that Pig is trying to spread out these queens here. He's trying to just keep an eye on what's happening at the top of these cliffs, and this does give him a little bit more of an advantage when the Reapers decide to come back. But just having a look, they're just going to go straight into the natural base this time. Only that single queen there. She's actually starting to take quite a bit of damage, down to 52 health right now. So the Reapers will just fall back for the moment, going to start regenning their health yet again. And MMA is going to take a little bit of a, well, he had a little bit of a worker lead for just a moment, but now with Pig starting to come out, he's got a lot more map dominance. There are those Lings that I was talking about. As I said, forcing quite a lot of Lings to come out is this particular Reaper style. it sort of says to the Zerg player, well, you know, you better get some really good defenses out because things are going to get a little bit hectic if you let these Reapers run free. But in fact, it's going to turn the other way. Pig able to run inside the natural of MMA, getting some good damage done, and maybe he'll get a mule or two, or at least force them off the line. He does do that. And then the Lings looks like they aren't really going to get too much more damage done than that, as the 4 Hellions that have popped out for MMA will be able to defend this early expansion. Not going to need to lift that up too much, I wouldn't think. And the Lings, now with their numbers really depleted, are going to have to fall back. So Pig is just continuing on with this very safe style. He's going to pick up some extra gases here, as we can see, going up to gas number 4 in total. He's also got the lair on the way, but still no real sign of exactly what he's going to go for. So he is going to continue to macro up with these drones all about to pop out. 7 in total, going to take him to a total of 38 drones right now. Looking good with his economy, and as we can see, that is going to continue to boost up to 43 now. So he's really just trying to stay ahead of his opponent in the macro game. It looks like he is going to take the 3rd hatchery as well, just picking that up across to the side as you would normally see. So, you know, this is that part where as a Terran player, you're kind of looking at what's going on, you know, how exactly do I want to play this? It looks like MMA is going to definitely go for a bio style. I don't think that I've ever actually seen MMA go for mech too much lately. But I'm probably wrong with that. As I said, I haven't actually caught much of MMA lately, so, you know, I may be completely missing a game or two, but what I do know is he's going to run through here. Of course, we all know him for wonderful macro, and of course, doing really good drop plays. Well known for just dropping all over the place with those medevacs, of course, and so we may see him go for that particular style here. Pig has got his Spire on the way, the Baneling Nest as well. It looks like there will be the 3rd, well, 3rd's still a little bit away. I'm not sure how well any drones that come across this 3rd base are going to do, because MMA is just going to camp out the side there. It looks like he has protected the front door of his natural with a couple of Widow Mines along with that bunker. The Hellions will try and get some damage here on the hatchery, but of course, you know, even though there are 6 Hellions here, not really going to be able to do too much to a building like this, so they will be forced to retreat. A Spine Crawler and a Queen just coming along here from Pig, just to make sure that that base does not take too much more damage than needs to be. And then with the Spine Crawler burrowing, that will be the end of that harassment just for the moment. So MMA forced to fall back for the moment. He's got a lot of vision of what's going on his side of the map. It looks like he will float that 3rd command center across, or orbital command, I suppose, across to the 3rd base here, and just make sure that is all secure. Meanwhile, for Pig, gets the creep spread started. He's finally forced back those Hellions for the time being, and with the Spire tech completed, it looks as if he'll probably start switching into a Mutiling Bane style at first. Of course, the Mutas are really nice, a nice change for Zerg players. They are much faster. Well, not maybe not much faster, that might be a bit too strong of a word, but they are faster now. Of course, they've got that enhanced HP regen as well, so you can fly them in, do some damage, and then fly back out and still have them alive for the next fight. So he's going to get some mutas out, and behind all of this, going to continue to pump up that drone count. He's now up to 55. That is going to jump up in just a second, but MMA continuing with his, of course, with that very fast 3rd command center, continues to stick with his Zerg opponent. Of course, normally you see Zerg players just really start to zip ahead on the worker count, but MMA has been doing a really good job of just staying with it for the moment. He's up to 62, in fact keeping even with Pig for the time being, and now even going ahead, which is quite interesting to see. But what we're going to find in a moment is that Pig is going to try and come across and get some damage done. No real defense inside the natural base, but MMA quickly coming across, gets the Marines, and they stem up and are able to push the mutas back, in fact catching the scouting overlord from Pig and taking that down, putting Pig in the red for just a moment, but that is handily fixed up by Pig straight away. Meanwhile, for MMA, you know, he's got the 3rd base. He's going to try and wall this off as best as possible so that Pig cannot get too much run-by action going along. But now, as we see, it looks like, wow, is that he got, you know, unfortunately didn't get the Widow Mine down before Pig was able to plant the 4th. But that is going to be a little bit annoying for Pig to deal with. This Queen is going to actually die as soon as she walks in the range there. And she falls down, her carcass falling all over that hatchery. It's I love the new death animations and all this cool stuff in Heart of the Swarm. But the Muta's now going to sweep through into the 3rd base. Looks like they're not going to get a huge amount of damage done. A couple of Marines and those backup Marines were coming across to try and defend against that. But really nice micro by Pig, just to sit there and pick off some of the units, the stray SCVs that were out across to the side, and he does take care of them handily. Also, of course, his creep spread still pushing through the middle section of the map. What you really want to see by about this 13-minute mark. Zerg players should really, if they want to be really on top of their creep spread, should be up at this sort of portion here. You really want to be at that halfway point through the map. Not only because it helps out with you know, the moving your units around the map, improving mobility on the ground, all these kinds of things. It also helps with vision. Just have a look at the vision that Pig has got from these creep chimmers. He's got this whole section here, a lot of vision there. Of course, the ZvT watchtower helps out with that, but he also will have it if the creep spreads is sorry, if he isn't holding the ZvT watchtower. So looks like MMA is going to go for a push on the 4th base. He does have his 2-2 only halfway done for these Marines, but the +1 on the vehicle weapons is about to kick in, meaning that those tanks will do a nice little bit of damage against Lings and Banes as they roll along. Looks like Pig is going to try and force up a little bit of a stimmer and overreaction from MMA, but he's not really worried about that just as of yet. Just going to keep his cool, going to sit back for now. Pig evacuating those drones. There's no way these guys are going to survive for too long because the Marine count is just continuing to grow for MMA right now. 9 at a time, possibly more than that. The 2-2 weapons also about to kick in, so if Pig wants to make a move, he does need to do it very, very soon if he wants to catch MMA before the upgrades kick in. He's also getting, interestingly, the Drilling Claws upgrade for his Widow Mines. That's really interesting to see that, but he is going to get started. Looks like there is a preparation for a flank going on. There it is, beautifully done by Pig, coming in from all sides. Going to roll through the top section, mostly with the Banelings there. The Lings coming through the front, and they do take care of the majority of the units here. Very nicely done by Pig. He is able to clean up the remaining forces of MMA for the time being, but you know, we sort of look at this and we think, well, you know, how much damage was really done? Of course, Pig is now down to just the 3 mining bases. He is going to re-establish a 4th across the right-hand side. We'll probably see him very quickly pick up this one again at this position. And he really just needs to sort of, he needs to just be very calm about what he's doing. As we can see, continuing on with the creep spread here. Looks like he is going to come through that middle section yet again and see what he can do. But he is really starting to boost up that link count. My God, there are so many Lings on the map. We've got 97 Lings out on the map right now. 12 Banelings. Of course, we've got the 29 Banelings. Sorry, they've just been added in, and those 6 Mutas out on the map, of course, as well. So they're a little bit handy, but not necessarily the greatest thing. But there is a drop inside the main base. MMA has gotten in and is going to be doing a lot of damage here, trying to target down that Greater Spy. Morphid is on the way, and it is saved by a couple of transfusions. Of course, this is the scary thing about Heart of the Swarm, is MMA with the Ignite Afterburners on his Medivacs. He is able to try and evacuate the Marines, but unfortunately they do not last too long. So while this is all going on, and as he did actually see the timing on that Greater Spy, he's going to try and go for another push. He wants to stop Pig from getting this 4th base up and running. If he can do that, then he can keep himself in a really nice position. In fact, we'll probably see MMA, yeah, I was going to say he's going to go for his own 4th base very soon, but not if Pig has something to say about it. Here we go, just rolling through into that 3rd base there. Widow Mines coming out to try and help out, but the Banelings just rolling through absolutely everything. In fact, trying to evacuate some of those Marines, he actually lets the Banelings straight through, and the Mutas and Banes at the back are still able to take care of quite a lot of those units. But MMA has been taken down quite a notch, down to 54 workers right now, and despite the fact that he is going to be able to clean this up, that is a really not the greatest sort of situation here from him. He's actually going to lose some of these tanks. They will go down, taking him down to just a total, oh well, in fact, 1 tank is out on the map, and that just finished up. So MMA has been reduced in his sort of defensive position right now. Pig continuing to bring out the Banelings, and of course the Lings just staying on this style for a little bit longer while he establishes his 4th base. Once the 4th gets the gases rolling, then we'll probably see him start to actually switch into the higher tech there. So he is getting up the +2 on the flyer attacks, not to mention adrenal glands as well. Pneumatized Carapace on the way, and level 3 Zerg attacks and ground Carapace 2 are all on the way from Pig. So he's investing quite a lot in that late game while he has just gained a really good advantage over MMA. But you know, he's still got to be careful. Of course, these the Medivacs with their Ignite Afterburners just blazing across the map, trying to get some damage done. And it looks like, well, we do have good split there from Pig. He is able to avoid some of the damage, and the Mutalisks are now coming across just to deal with that Medivac. But he's probably going to try and do his best inside this 4th base here. If he can cut down this base, whether it be by getting rid of all of those mules, or whether it is actually destroying the base in total, then we will probably see him take a really big lead. But back at home, Pig just taking his time. He's got some infestors coming along, going to be adding in the fungal growth, no doubt about that. Really handy way of dealing with all these large clumps of marines. If you can get a good fungal down, you can lock all those marines down, and a baneling hit will just tear through those marine lines. So you know, we'll keep an eye on if he is able to get that kind of thing up, but he is re-establishing the 5th base just across the left-hand side. 81 workers now for Pig, looking good with that economy. As we said, he's going to get that, with the extra gases now rolling here at the 4th base, he's now going to start switching into that higher tech. We can see the Broodlords just morphing in now, but there is going to be a drop on this on the right-hand side of the map here at the 4th of Pig, taking down a couple of drones. Not a huge amount, of course. We just look at the worker losses there, and it favors Pig greatly right now. So doing a really good job of just holding off the attacks for the most part. It looks like there will be another Marine hit squad just walking their way up through the top section of the map, able to find a few Lings and a stray Baneling as well, but not really getting a huge amount of work done there. So MMA, he's still sort of continuing to get his tech rolling. We can see the +3 on the vehicle weapons about to pop out, 3 on infantry and armor weapons there, as we can see. So he is really getting those upgrades going, but the question is, will he be able to hold this 4th base? Because obviously the key really lies in the 4th right now, because are you serious, MMA? He hasn't really grabbed that extra gas. I suppose he doesn't actually need it, but you know, it would be nice to have that extra gas in the bank. But he is up at 200 supply right now. Looks like he is going to start to make a slow move across the map once that 3-3 finishes, and once he's got that, then he's going to be in a very nice position. But Pig sticking with that the low tier tech for now. He will definitely need to start sacrificing some of these units if he wants to start to pick up some of those Ultralisks or even more Broodlords. But we do see that he will have to come back and defend this 4th base in just a moment. The Marines coming across, they've got 3-3, they're going to tear through that Queen. She is not going to survive for too long, I tell you what, and the drones know that as well. They're trying to boogie it out of there as fast as they can. Broodlords will be able to come across, but you know, will they be able to get enough damage done? Looks like the hatchery will go down. The Broodlings being dropped down on the Marines, and they are taken out eventually, but we've got multiple drops going on with MMA continuing to try and push himself around the map. He's slowly moving across. In fact, Widow Mines have made their way across and pretty much underneath those Broodlords right now. Not often you'll get to see something like that. I was about to say that's another drop up here, but it's actually changelings right there for Pig. So we've got, wow, it's really interesting to see a Terran player just sort of pushing around with these Widow Mines at this sort of point of the game. I just kind of think it could be a little bit risky with all of these Broodlords out. Of course, the Infestors on the ground as well, able to help out with that fungal growth. But, you know, it could go the way of MMA. We'll see how it goes. But a double drop now pushing through the top section of the map. Got all Marines in there, all 3-3, of course. And with the Ignite Afterburners, he may be able to... Oh, Pig's looking for this drop. Is he going to find it? He's trying to see it. Where is it? There it is. Is he going to react in time? He's trying to catch it, but I don't think he's going to be able to. MMA picks up on that, and he is going to ignite those afterburners and jump straight into the main base here. But now, as we see, Pig got those Broodlords sort of moving into position to try and assault this the 4th base of MMA. And if he can get it, then he's certainly going to get a lot done. But the Marines have now dropped inside the main of MMA of Pig, sorry, and he's going to be able to get a really good amount of damage done if he can clear out the Queens. Then maybe get some of the tech that's there, a fungal growth going down, and MMA is absolutely everywhere right now, taking out this 4th base, and of course dealing some really good damage on the mineral line here at the 3rd as well, has now taken care of the Ultralisk Cabin. Banelings and Lings coming across to try and take out those last few Marines, and they do indeed do that, and the attacks have all but been cleaned up by Pig for now. But the question is, does he have enough to continue on, because the push is now on the way from MMA. He has got 8 tanks, a Thor. We've got some Widow Mines here as well, 6 of them in total. They are going to lose their missiles. Well, maybe they'll lose their missiles, but they are going to help with defending against those broods. But unfortunately, they sacrifice themselves and drop some of those tanks, unfortunately, for MMA. So perhaps the decision to use the Widow Mines, they're not the best, but he is going to be cleaning these up, his Pig. And while this is all going on, continuous multi-pronged harass from MMA. He's doing a wonderful job of just jetting around the map with these medevacs and continually taking down the mining opportunities that Pig is trying desperately to save. So The drop's still continuing on. As we can see on the income tab there, we've got the harvester sitting at 52 for Pig, but he is mining virtually nothing right now. He's pretty much only got this base here, which is only bringing in a few minerals. Unfortunately, some of these drones actually in a little bit of an unfortunate spot there, not mining on the minerals as you would really want them to be. And MMA's supply just continually growing here. 193 supply. He's even adding in some marauders. I'm not sure about that, considering even he knows that he killed off the Ultralisk cavern. But as we can see, we've still got this mainly Bioforce now. We're adding in a couple of tanks just to help out with the possible switch into, you know, that Ultralisk tech, but also they can help tank in a way. If you drop down the Marauders to tank up the Baneling damage, then they may be able to do a really good job. And in fact, speaking of Baneling damage, it looks like Pig catching a wonderful break there, killing off quite a lot of those Marines, dropping down the supply of MMA back down to 184. But of course, with all of this power now coming across, 3 tanks in the mixture here, a lot of Marines, but of course, they're very grouped up, and he's got to be very careful about that fungal. It's kind of like watching a little bit of Wings of Liberty right now, in the fact that we've just mainly got the Infestors and the Broodlords here, but unfortunately, with that nerf to the fungal growth, Pig is now just losing Infestor after Infestor here, and that is not good for him at all, with again, the multi-pronged attacks from MMA continuing on the left-hand side of the map. He's now taken his own 5th base across to the side, now continuing to still slowly mine out that 3rd base. It is slowly getting there, but Pig is now starting to siege up the 4th of MMA. Will he be able to do enough damage here? The Broodlords, of course, throwing down the Broodlings. We mentioned that that actually can make the Widow Mines fire on the Broodlings, and these Banelings, I tell you what, these guys, are you guys like having a break or something like that? Because these guys need to get in there and take down that SCV line. While this is going on, however, Pig has been able to get inside the mineral line of the 4th here and has taken it out. There go those Banelings. SCV bodies just falling apart everywhere. Could probably even chuck those Banelings onto the command center there. But while this is all going on, Pig still under threat here because MMA has been doing a really good job with these drops. But the problem now for MMA is that he still has to deal with these Broodlords up in the air. We've even got a couple of Ultras being thrown in now as well. And with some of the Infestors still staying alive, they're like the BGs right now. They are staying alive for the time being. And if he can just hold back these drops for just a moment, if he can keep this base mining and continue to bring in that gas that he so desperately needs, then Pig will be able to probably stabilize himself right now. But what he does need to do is just keep MMA off this base right now, because MMA's own mining has now fallen down to virtually nothing. He's got around about 700 minerals coming in. Of course, this base is now fully saturated because the other one wasn't just before, down to 29 SCVs, so he's now going to try and re-establish this 4th across to the left-hand side of the map. He may be able to do it, but I mean, Pig's just got so much power here, and in fact, when you consider that orbital command is extremely low and is even burning down, Pig may be able to take it out and then just snipe it and run away, because with that low health, in fact, yeah, that's what he's going to do. In fact, he doesn't even need to do it. We've got the mules now dropping down. I'm assuming that MMA wants to repair that, but that is not going to happen. The attack just completely obliterates that straight away. Meanwhile, for MMA, he's trying to continue to put these drops on, coming through the top section of the map with the Ignite Afterburners on those medevacs. Is going to try and push through the top end here, but Pig has re-established this base across to the side. We mentioned it before. If he can hold this one, he is going to really put himself in a good spot in this game. And there is some wonderful fungals there from Pig, even with the nerf, able to hold down those medevacs. The Corruptor and, of course, a couple of infested Terrans are able to take down the medevacs. So this has put Pig in a wonderful position right now. He's got Corruptors in the air to deal with any possible anti-air measures that he needs. There are these 5 Ultralisks. Of course, not a massive total of Ultralisks, but, you know, these guys do huge amounts of damage now. 44 damage on anything, which means that they tear apart Marines quick smart. Of course, you consider that a Marine has 55 damage. The Ultra damage does splash, and so they're just going to be tearing them apart, especially if a fungal growth lands on some of those units. So it looks like Pig is going to possibly go for this final push here. He's got the Corruptors trying to protect the Broodlords there. If they can give them a bit of space, they'll be able to fire down those Broodlings. And look at that. We actually see MMA basically killing himself there. The Widow Mines activated on those Broodlings and took out so much of the health on those Marines, of course splashing 40 damage, which means those Marines have 15 health left before they get healed up. And Pig going to continue to roam through this bottom section here, finding a couple of wonderful fungals there, getting it right on top of those units, and that allows this is like a single Ultralisk just roaming through. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but it does mean that he is able to slowly just whittle down this force, MMA force down to 50 supply, and there is the GG. Wow, so really interesting game from these two players. Pig definitely on the ropes when he had these two bases taken out, but is then able to hold out, he's able to persevere and wait very patiently to get these bases back up and running, get some infestors out, of course the corruptors to help in the air as well, along with those ultras and the broods as well. So just a really good game there from Exile 5 Pig. You can always go and check him out, catch him on Twitter as well. I've displayed that earlier on in the video. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all next time. Big map, very vulnerable to the drops, just as they are to the Oracle attacks. So, you do have to be careful of that kind of thing. So, it looks like Ognis will try and go for a drop down at the back of Squirtle's base. He's up to